Supporting your cadet. This is a little bit of a longer video, but if you bear with me, there are lots of really important points here that are going to help you to make sure that you can get the best from your child within our classes and within competition. The first thing we ask is that you don't get involved in classes by shouting out or coaching from the sidelines. As an instructor, it's quite hard to hold the attention of a group of young people at the best of times, let alone when you've got another adult at the sidelines shouting things out. So we ask that you sit quietly, you watch what they're doing rather than being buried in your phone so that you can talk about it afterwards. But support us, please don't talk over us. When it comes to competitions, we ask that you don't put too much focus on winning medals. One thing that's very important to me as an instructor is that we develop a growth mindset within everyone that attends our club. So a growth mindset is a mindset that isn't afraid to fail. It's a person who can fail and can learn from it. A person who can not win a bout, they can not win a patterns competition, and they can come away and they can think, I did my best, how can I improve? If you put too much focus on winning, what can happen is you might end up with a child who might be a sore loser, who might just get upset at losing. That sucks the enjoyment out of it. Also, if you put a lot of focus on winning all of the time, it can create a fear of failure. Now, a person that is afraid to fail will eventually not want to compete. They'll want to finish on a high. That can be really harmful to the long-term development of your child. We do need to remember that a lot of the people that train with us, a lot of the cadets in particular, are years away from peaking. So if you put too much pressure on them early, it sucks the enjoyment out and they might never reach their full potential because they're too scared to make mistakes. What we ask is that you encourage effort. Every time your child steps onto the floor to try and do something, they give it their best shot, even if it's not what you expected, even if it's not their best and you know that. There would be good reason for that, and they'll probably know that. But as their parent or guardian, it's more beneficial that you encourage them and say that you did the best you could do on the day and we are proud of you. That is exactly the approach that I take as a coach. I will always make sure that first and foremost they know that we're proud of their efforts. The next thing to cover is contact. So at some point you will see your child hitting another child and you will see other children hitting your child. Now that is something that can be quite distressing as a parent to see. I appreciate that and I understand that. However, it is a contact sport and we do need to build up to that gradually. We do it in a very safe and controlled way. We limit the amount of shots that someone will take so that we don't create a long-term problem. And we build these things up gradually over a period of time so that the child eventually will become conditioned to that sort of thing. Leave us to do that. We've got lots of experience in doing it. There might be times where it pushes boundaries a little bit and they might become a little bit uncomfortable, but we will always stay on the side of enjoyment and never push them too far. Eventually they will reach a point where they can spar quite happily, take shots, give shots, and everything can be productive. When we're at the sidelines, I ask that you don't make comment on contact. So we teach the kids and the members in particular, like the older members, how to gauge their sparring for different people so that they reach that person's ability. So what we need is for people on the sidelines to not make comments like, go on, hit them, or you need to hit them harder, or anything. Leave that to us. That's not the sort of thing that we want to hear. And if you can appreciate that from another parent's point of view, if you're saying hit that kid harder, you're saying that about someone else's child, and it can cause rifts within the club. It can cause problems at competition. So they're the sort of comments we want to try and keep away from. Now, if you have a concern, I need to hear it. I want to know, because we can deal with that. We can speak to your child. We can make sure they're comfortable. I do try my best to build up a really good rapport with our students, but if ever they say something to you that they're not saying to me, it's really important I know so that I never make them feel uncomfortable. Helping at home is something that is really, really beneficial. We've created these videos, so if you go to the next part of the website where it's the grading videos, there's bits on there that you can cover together. Another thing that you can ask is get them to teach you things that they've learned. It's a really good way to learn, and in my experience, children learn better when they're doing little and often, rather than trying to train, making them train for an hour every night. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there can be really, really beneficial for keeping things fresh in their minds. So when they attend class, they can learn more rather than having to recap things we've already done. The last thing that you can do as a parent to help is make sure they're making healthy choices. So when they turn up to training, make sure that they're adequately fueled, they've been eating real food rather than just sweets and chocolate. Make sure they're hydrated. So we don't like to see sports drinks in class. They're only hour-long classes. They aren't that intense because it's more of a learning session. We don't need things like Lucozade Sports. We want to try to encourage good hydration. So by drinking water or squash if you have to. Sleep is also very important. We try to encourage members to rest adequately so that anything that they've been learning can sink in. Any muscle damage they've done because of the training they've done can repair, and it means they're fresh for the next lesson. If your child is not enjoying Taekwondo, again, that's something that we need to know. What's really important is we remember that these kids need to learn fundamental motor skills, and whether they're doing that with us or they're doing that at a football club or a tennis club, at the moment, at their age, is irrelevant. Of course, I want the members, but what's more important is that the children are developing and they're having fun in doing that. We don't want to force them to do something they don't want to do. So speak to me and see if there is a problem we can fix. If it's something silly that we can change, then we can change that. The only thing that I do ask is that you don't let them quit on a bad day. So if your child turns up to training and they have a bad sparring session or they forget their pattern, please don't then not bring them back the next lesson because they said, I don't want to do this anymore. It's important that we try and work together to overcome feelings like that. We don't want to force them into something they don't want to do, but we do want to try and help them overcome barriers. That is an important life skill, and it is something that we try to teach. If you are going to pull them out at the first hurdle, unfortunately, they are not going to develop and they are not going to reach their full potential.